Welcome to my channel Limelight Leaks. Please share and subscribe and hit the bell icon for new updates. Gene Hackman was never the type of actor who chased headlines. He was quiet, humble, and fiercely protective of his private life. A towering figure in the golden age of cinema, he won the hearts of audiences with unforgettable performances in The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Royal Tenenbaums. But behind the camera, Gene lived a life of seclusion and simplicity with his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, far removed from the glitter and noise of Hollywood. Together, they shared a peaceful existence in Santa Fe, New Mexico, until, tragically, they passed away within days, or possibly hours of each other in February 2024. And while the world mourned the end of an era, what was supposed to be a private farewell quickly unraveled into a tangled web of secrets, suspicion, and an inheritance battle that now threatens to fracture what little remains of Hackman's legacy. At the heart of the storm is a fortune, worth more than $80 million, a meticulously built empire of earnings, investments, and real estate spanning decades. Gene Hackman was a man of multiple talents, not just an Oscar-winning actor, but a best-selling novelist, shrewd investor, and patron of the arts. Alongside Betsy, a former classical pianist turned businesswoman, the couple lived modestly, but built wealth quietly and steadily. And when news broke that they both had died within a very short window of each other, legal observers initially assumed the division of the estate would be straightforward. But a bizarre detail, a single medical phone call, would soon turn everything on its head. On February 11th, the world believed that Betsy Hackman had passed away peacefully, just before Gene. Yet, according to newly surfaced reports, Betsy allegedly made a phone call on February 12th, one day after her recorded death, to a local medical service in Santa Fe called Cloudberry Health. In that call, she inquired about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, saying she felt congested and slightly unwell, but notably did not mention any life-threatening condition. For investigators, that call changed everything. Because if Betsy was alive, on February 12th, even for just a few hours, it drastically alters the legal standing of her husband's will and estate. The question now haunting lawyers, family members, and the court is painfully specific. Who died first? As morbid as it may sound, that question could determine the fate of the entire Hackman fortune. According to both of their wills, Gene's written in 2005 and Betsy's updated as recently as 2022, the order of death determines the legal beneficiary. If Gene died first, then all of his assets automatically transferred to Betsy. But if Betsy died first, even by a few hours, then the assets revert to Gene's estate, and possibly to other heirs. Betsy's will names a charitable organization as her primary beneficiary, believed to be focused on music and arts education. However, Gene Hackman's three daughters, from his first marriage to Faye Maltese, were not named in either will. Now, with tens of millions of dollars at stake and the timeline in dispute, those daughters are preparing to fight. This isn't just a legal technicality, it's a deeply human conflict, steeped in old pain and unspoken grievances. Gene Hackman's relationship with his daughters has always remained private, even secretive. Some reports claim the connection had grown distant over the years, perhaps even fractured. Others say that Gene simply wanted to protect his new life with Betsy, and preferred to leave everything to her. Whatever the reason, his daughters now face the devastating reality that they may have been excluded entirely from their father's final wishes. And now, with their stepmother's will channeling the estate toward a charity, they stand to inherit nothing, unless they can legally prove that Gene survived Betsy, even for a brief moment. To determine the truth, investigators are now digging into cell phone logs, hospital records, digital timestamps, and surveillance footage. The phone call Betsy allegedly made on February 12th is under intense scrutiny. Was it really her? Could it have been a scheduling error? Was it a delayed voice message? Or was it indeed a desperate attempt to seek help that tragically came too late? Every detail matters. One medical form with the wrong date, one nurse's testimony, even a single GPS ping on her phone could shift the entire legal battlefield. Meanwhile, estate lawyers on both sides are preparing for what could become one of the most contentious celebrity inheritance cases of the decade. What's at stake is more than just money. It's a sprawling estate, meticulously built over half a century. It includes multiple real estate holdings, homes in Santa Fe, Los Angeles, and New York. Some of these properties were bought decades ago and have appreciated exponentially in value. Then there's the wealth tied up in investment accounts, stock portfolios, and private trusts. Gene Hackman, though retired from acting since 2004, still receives royalties from television rebroadcasts, film licensing, and publishing deals. His intellectual property rights alone, his name, likeness, and cinematic legacy, are worth millions. On top of that, the couple collected rare art, classic cars, signed memorabilia, and antique books, items with both sentimental and financial value. And yet, all of it now sits in limbo. On one side of the battle are Gene Hackman's daughters, grieving, perhaps bitter, and now legally armed. They may argue that their father's exclusion of them from his will was unjust, or influenced by others. They may even claim that he wasn't in full control of his mental faculties when he signed his 2005 will. These kinds of claims, undue influence, diminished capacity, coercion, are not uncommon in high-profile inheritance disputes. If they succeed in challenging the will, they could unlock a share of the estate for themselves and possibly block the charity from receiving the bulk of the assets. On the other side stands a charitable foundation, described in documents as an arts nonprofit that Betsy passionately supported. That organization is likely preparing for a fight of its own. From their perspective, they are merely following the clear, lawful wishes of their benefactor. They may present a meticulously documented timeline, affidavits, medical files, and sworn statements showing that Betsy did, in fact, outlive her husband, and that her will is legally binding. But even if they win in court, the charity may face public backlash, tabloid scrutiny, and reputational damage. And somewhere in between it all lies the silent grief of two lives lost. Two people who once shared the spotlight, the struggles, and a deep love. Gene and Betsy Hackman didn't want this. No one ever does. But in death, they've left behind a complicated legacy, one that's now being interpreted, contested, and possibly rewritten by strangers in suits and courtrooms. This case could drag on for years, or it could end in a quiet behind-the-scenes settlement. Legal experts say it's likely both sides may want to avoid a public trial. Trials are emotionally exhausting, financially draining, and worst of all, public. Everything becomes part of the record. Every email, every disagreement, every detail of their family history could be dissected and broadcast. A settlement could spare everyone that pain. The daughters could receive a negotiated sum, the charity could walk away with the bulk of the estate, and the media storm could be averted. But even if the legal mess is cleaned up, the emotional wreckage remains. Imagine losing both your father and stepmother within days. Then imagine realizing you've been excluded from everything they left behind. Imagine having to dig through phone records and legal filings just to get acknowledgement. For Gene Hackman's daughters, this isn't just a financial fight. It's about memory, dignity, and unanswered questions. Was he proud of them? Did he love them? Why weren't they included? Those answers may never come. And what of Betsy's final hours? Was she alone when she made that call? Did she know her husband was gone? Was she calling for help? Or for closure? In the end, this story isn't really about who inherits the money. It's about what we leave behind. It's about the people who loved us, the people we hurt, and the people who are left to make sense of the silence. Gene Hackman, a man who spent his life telling other people's stories, now finds his own life rewritten in headlines and court documents. It's a tragedy, not just of loss, but of unresolved legacy. So, what happens next? The courts will decide. The lawyers will argue. The truth, whatever it is, will come out. But one thing is certain, this is not the ending Gene Hackman would have scripted.